Hello, welcome to this new section of our training. In the previous video, we saw how to automate the sales invoice. It was quite beautiful. So as for now, we just have to choose an article and all is done for us. In this video, we are going to see how to automate our stock card. We are going to make this stock card responsive to be able to calculate the stock available at any point in time. So before we get to this, we are going to automate some other important sheets which are going to help us in the building process. So when I click here, this form will simply help us to exit stock from the warehouse or from the store should in case the stock gets bad or it is a perishable product which is rotten or something like that. So we will use the stock exit form to do that. So for us to go, we have to bring in informations from the data sheet, meaning we have to make in such a way that we can easily get the informations of our articles in the exit form. Making the exit, we have the item code, we have description. Under description, it's going to be the item name, and we already have the item name in data, so we're going to call for the item name, or we're going to call for information from data with a drop down list. So we get to data, we take data validation, we choose a list. For the source, is going to be in our data sheet. All our items is going to enter the list. So from here we click on OK and we can have the drop down list for us. So more still, you can see that this exit form is in a table. We just like we insert a table in Excel. We saw in previous videos how to do that. So when we want to add a new line in a table, we use the tabulation till the end. We click on tabulation. So you see it is moving along the same area. It is moving along the same table. When I click on tabulation at this end, it creates a new line for me. So each time when I will do that, for example, I'll make in such a way that this drop down list should appear in all the lines. So for me to do that, I'll just autofill. I'll autofill for the drop down list to enter in the next line. So what I do is that I'm going to make in such a way that when I choose an article, the item code should automatically appear. So I'm going to use the VLOOKUP function just like we did in the invoice. I'll start by putting the if error, then VLOOKUP. So I'll be looking up to the description. I'll be looking up to F5, meaning the description, meaning the item name. This was going to be in a table array being data. I'm going to select the whole table. I'm going to select the whole table, and the column index number, what I need here is the item code. So the item code in this table is the second column. It is in the second column, so I put 2, and I put semicolon. I want an exact correspondence, so I put 0. I close bracket. Then I get to the value if error. The value if error is going to be inverted commas open and close, and I close bracket. So when I click on enter, you can see automatically the item code for this product appears. So I'm going to do same with the unit price. Unit price, I'm going to use the VLOOKUP function, but before that I'll put the if error. Then I'll take VLOOKUP. I'll be looking up to the item's name, all these in a table array which is in data. So I'm going to select the whole table, and I need the unit purchase price. For example, it is in the third column. So the third column, I'm going to put 3 to represent the third column. So I put semicolon. I want an exact exact match, so I click on 0, then I close the bracket and I give the value if error, inverted commas, open and close. I close bracket, and that's it. So when I choose the product, I would like that it should calculate the amount after I have given the quantity I'm exiting. So from here, under amount, I'm going to say if error. In order to avoid errors through in case there's nothing, I'm going to take if error quantity times unit price. So I get to give the value if error. If there is an error, this inverted commas, open and close, and I click on enter. So I'll equally like to okay, this column is not going to be that important, supplier is not going to be important, so I'm going to delete the information. But when I delete the information in the table, it will obviously give me a header, and it's going to write here column 1. If I don't want to be seeing this column 1 as a header, I can, for example, put an apostrophe inside. If I put an apostrophe inside, or let me say 0, yes, so I'm going to allow it this way. So, or I could just delete this row since it's not important. So if I right click and I take delete, so I'll be deleting the column, sorry. So here is a place for comment. I can give a reason why I am exiting the good from the warehouse. So that's it. Now here we are going to be putting the date. So let me just say I'm exiting some products like 5 units. Let's say I choose another product, so 3 units. Let's say I repeat this PB computer. I repeat it, like for example another day, because all these are going to be in terms of dates. So for example 10. So that's how I'll be exiting goods from the store or from the warehouse. So we were going to do same in the stock entry card. We're going to do same. We'll call for the items under data validation list. So I'm going to click on the source and come to where we have all our items. I select this area, then I click on OK. So I have my drop down list. If I add lines with the tab key and I scroll this, I drag this down for the drop down list to be in all the rows. So the unit price is going to be the same thing. The unit price is going to be equal to I'll use a VLOOKUP function, if error. So I'll be looking up to the description, and sorry, here is VLOOKUP. I'll be looking up to the description. The table array is the whole table, and the column index number is the unit purchase price, which is in column 3. I put column 3, and approximate match 0. I close bracket and I give the value if error, inverted commas, open and close. I close bracket and I take enter. So if there is a mistake somewhere, okay, I didn't put my semicolon here. So when I take enter, all is done. When I choose, for example, the product and I pick the quantity, like for example 300 units entered, let me say Dell computer, I'm going to make an entry of 200 products, and I can equally do same to bring in the item code. So the item code in this case is simply going to be the second column index number. So it's going to be the second column index number, and I take enter. So the item codes are appearing. I can be putting the dates, and the amounts is going to be if error, just to avoid the errors, the quantity times the unit prices, and I give the value if error to be inverted commas, open and close. I close bracket and I take enter. So you see, when I choose a new product, it's just the same thing which is going on and on and on. So for entry, I can decide and put maybe the supplier. This is important. I can decide and put the supplier from whom I purchase the product. So I can bring in the suppliers list here. So I can use data validation to create a list for suppliers. So I come to data validation, I take a list. So in the source, I'm going to go to the suppliers books or suppliers list, and I'll select all the suppliers and I click on OK. So I can have a drop down list where I can select the supplier from whom I purchase the goods. So that's it. Suppliers here, yes, suppliers, sorry, suppliers. Okay, so now that I have automated my entry form and my exit form, this is a sales track which is going to give us the sales amount or the goods which were sold. But for now, I cannot yet I'm not going to do it just like I did for entry and exit. The sales track is going to contain information from the invoice, meaning when we will sell, we are going to carry the informations which were sold in the invoice. So if, for example, there were quantities here which were sold, let me choose another product. So if they had these products which were sold, what I would like to do is that I would like to copy all this information from here, and I'll go and drop it in the sales track. But I will not be doing this manually. In the next video, we are going to see how to bring these informations automatically. That will be with the use of a VBA code. But for now, I'm just going to input some informations inside so that we can be able to automate our stock cart. So I'm just going to carry some informations and put in this in a sales track. Now this one is supposed to be the item names, and I'm going to put some quantities like 300 Dell computer sold, and I will make the Dell computer to repeat itself. We're going to see why I'm doing this. HP computer, let's say we sold 200. No, let's say we sold 10. Let's say here Dell is instead 20. Here Dell is 5, and we sold this product 2 units. So in the next video, we're going to see how to carry information from the invoice to the sales track. For now, we just need this information to automate our stock card, because we will need to verify whether it is actually given. Now, our stock card is going to be is just going to be a report card showing all, or a summary of what was purchased, what entered in stock, a summary of what was exited from stock, a summary of what was sold, and perhaps giving us the available stock. So after building the stock card, we are not going to modify anything in the stock card. A stock card will just be a report for us. We'll just come and look at the elements in the stock card and see the stock available, and see where there is a problem, where we can place a new order. See, meaning it's just going to be a complete report, so there will be no entry. So we're going to automate this for it to be completely automatic. So I'll start by putting the date. So it is stock card as at the date of today. So I'm going to write here date. For me to put the date here, I'm going to use a function called now. So now will bring in the date of the day where we are making or we are looking at the stock card. So if we're opening it today, the date of today will automatically appear. If we're opening it tomorrow, the date of tomorrow will automatically appear. So I'm going to say equal to now. I open bracket and I close bracket as well, and I take enter. So you see the date of today is going to also, if I open this tomorrow, the same thing is going to appear. So that's how it's going to be. So down here I'm going to insert a table. I'm going to make this to be a table. So I come on insert, then I click on this. I take my table has headers and this. Okay, so I'll just remove these filter options, these filter buttons. I come to details, I click anywhere in the table, I come to details and I uncheck filter button. So now here we have items, we have here item code. Yeah, this is supposed to be item code. We have the initial stock. So in our data sheet, this is where we create new products. If there's any new product we are bringing into our enterprise or into our business, we are going to create it in this sheet called data. So we'll just add a new line and add the new product. Okay, so I'll just add a new column here called initial stock, for example. So that for example, when they buy the products, they could just put an initial stock should in case there is one. So in our stock card, we want it to be very responsive in such a way that we are not going to add products here. What I want to do is that each time I add a product in this data sheet, our stock card should automatically contain that new product and have as well the stock history of that product. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to call for all the products in our data sheet to be exactly the same thing in our stock card. So what do? I say equals to, so I'm going to say equals to this, like the first item. So when I click on enter, you can see, well, like I said, equals to the first item. The first item has automatically appeared in the stock card. So anytime I change anything from the stock card, from the data sheet, like for example, if I modify the name and say Dell Computer EEE, in the stock card, automatically you will see Dell Computer EEE. So anything I do in the data sheet will automatically be done in the stock card. So that's what I want to do. Let me bring back this to normal. So what I equally want to do is that should in case I add any new element or any new product, the stock card should automatically have that new product. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to autofill. I'm going to add new lines by doing an autofill. I'm going to go right down to row 500, so that if I'm just improvising that we can have up to 500 products, so that I cannot be in short of space. So you can see when I climb this up, I've just made this table to have 500 lines. So you can see all the products which are in data appears here, and below locker, sorry, you are not going to see any product because there is no new product. But if I add a product here, like for example, what can I add? Microphone. So when I add microphone as product here in my stock card, you can see microphone has automatically added, just because I used a cell reference that what is in this data sheet should be exactly what is here. And when there's nothing, it just shows 0. I can equally make in such a way that it should not be showing this 0, like it should just be very empty. So what I could do here is that in this first function, instead of just using the data, the cell reference, I could say I could use a condition to say if this cell in our data sheet, meaning in data C3, if it is actually equal to nothing, or if it is different from nothing. So I'm going to say should in case it is different from nothing. If it's different from nothing, meaning if there is something inside, the value if true should be what is in the cell. So should in case this cell is different from nothing, the value if true should be that thing. Else it should portray nothing, like it should not show anything as response. So when I close this, you see here when there is nothing in our data sheet here, like there's no new line, there's no new data in our table here, nothing happens. But should in case there is something in the data, it gives exactly what is inside. So that's a simple condition I just tried applying. So now I'm just going to call for the item codes. I could equally use the cell reference by saying equal to the item code here inside. Just like I could still use the VLOOKUP, which will look up to the value of our item and bring up the item code from the data sheet. So I could use the VLOOKUP. I'll start by giving if error, then I take the VLOOKUP. So the lookup value is going to be this item, and the table array is going to be our table here. The column index number, what I need is the item code. It is column 2 here, so I put 2, and I want it to be 0, an exact match. So I close bracket and I give the value if error, which is inverted commas, open and close. I close bracket, and you can see the item codes for each of the products appeared. You can see microphone did not have an item code, so nothing for it. So the initial stock, I'm just going to do the same thing. I'm going to copy all this function and just paste it here, but the column index number for the item for the initial stock here is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So the initial stock is located in the seat column of our table array. So I'm just going to modify this. Instead of 2, I'm going to put 6. So for now you can see there's no initial stock, but if I come here in data and I say initial stock here is, for example, 10, so in our stock card you will see 10 has automatically appeared. So now here I want to bring in the entries. This entry here is just simply going to sum all the entries of Dell computer. Remember that for entries we can have different dates. Remember that we are going to be making entries in different dates, and in these different dates we might be purchasing the same products one and many times, maybe in the course of a period. Like here you can see there is a PB computer which was ordered on the 12th, this PB computer that was ordered on the 20th, and this can repeat itself 10,000 times. We have enough space in our Excel worksheet. So each time we place an order, we are going to create a new line for the item and put the new quantity which came in. So in our stock card, what we would like to do is that we would like to sum all the entries each time in our entry sheet. We entered Dell computer, we entered HP computer, we entered PB computer, and so on. So if in our entry form PB computer appears 10,000 times with 10,000 lines and different quantities, it should be able to sum all of those. So how do we do that? We are going to use the sum if function. So here I'm going to say equals to, if I just use a simple sum function, what will happen is that, for example, at the level of entry, if I just say equals to sum, for example, if I just say equals to sum, there is actually no criteria. I'll just come here and I'll just be summing all the quantities, and it does not give me what I need. It's all the quantities appearing the same time everywhere. It's not really helping. I want to sum uniquely Dell computers, and I equally want to sum it each time it appears in our entry form. So what will I do? I'm going to use the sum if function. So here I'm going to say equals to sum if, like we saw in the previous video. Sum if is summing with condition, taking some conditions in consideration when summing. So I'm going to use the sum if. Here I will have just one condition, so no need in using the sum if with S, which represents many conditions. So the range here is going to be the area I'm looking up to. So here it's the range is going to be all these elements, so all the products which are coming in. So that's going to be the range. So now the next thing in our function is the criteria. So what's the criteria in this case? The criteria is what we are looking up to in this entry sheet. We'll be looking up to each of these elements. Where will I be looking for it? In the stock card. So each time it says Dell computer in this range of cells in the entry worksheet, Excel will ask, what should I sum? The sum range. So the sum range is going to be the quantities in the entry form. So it should look at all the descriptions, all the items, find out whether their computer is within these items, and sum the quantities each time it sees their item, their computer. So that's simply the interpretation of this function. And you can see when I click on OK, their computer, let's find out if there's any their computer here. So here it is their computer, but it is not given. So we're just going to find out why it is not actually summing the 200 units of their computer. So maybe it is not well written here in the entry form. Make sure you have to understand that for these things to function, you should not be typing back all these stuffs, all these item names. You should just make in such a way that it appears exactly the same way it was initially written. If you write it differently, you will not be able to make any transaction. That is why I use a drop down list here. So I'm going to select it back. Okay, so if we check in our stock card, you're going to see 200 units, because here in our entry form we had 200 units. So if I take this down, for example, you will see here PB computer we have 400 units. Why 400 units? Because here there's PB computer 300 units, PB computer 100 units. So you see, each time it saw PB computer, it took the quantities and added. So that is what the sum if function was actually doing here. So very easy to use. We're going to do same for the sales. We get directly to the sales. We want to do the same thing, but in this time around we're using the sales track. So we're going to say sum if. So the range is in the sales track, so all this value will be looking up to all these values. They will ask for the criteria. The criteria is in the stock card. We are looking up to Dell computer, and the sum range, we want to sum in the sales track the quantities. So yeah, when I take OK, you can see we have here HP computer 10 units. If we come to the sales track, you'll see here HP computer 10 units. Okay, it's cool. Yeah, you can see Etherphone and so on. So that's what it's going to be doing. We get to exit. We are going to do the same thing. We say equals to sum if. The range is going to be from the exit sheet. We're going to be looking up to the items. We take semicolon. The criteria is Dell computer, for example. The sum range is going to be in the exit form, all the quantities, and I take enter. So it's summing everything for me, everything. So you can see this is how powerful this function is. It helps us in getting everything automatically. So from here we can have our stock available, which is going to be the initial stock plus entry minus, it is made a mistake, it is equal to the initial stock plus the entries minus exit minus sales. So that's going to be our stock available. So from here you can see we can use the VLOOKUP function to bring in the unit purchase price and the unit selling price based on the unit purchase and selling price of the Dell computers. So I'm just going to copy back this information, this function that I used in getting the initial stock. So I'm going to paste it here and here. But the purchase price in our data here is in the column index 3. So I'm just going to change from column index 6 to column index 3. Enter. And here from column index 6 to column index 4, the unit selling prices. So you can see it is giving everything, and here is not giving any error message because we already had to give the error message amount. So the stock value is going to be the selling price times the stock available. So I can do this. I can put the if error function so as to avoid the error messages I'm seeing here. I'm going to put the if error. So if error, the value if error should be inverted commas open and close, and I take enter. So I'm just going to do the same thing to call for the minimum stock. The minimum stock is still here in data, and we give minimum stock to be in column 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So when I just come here, I'm just going to change this from column 6 to column 5, and I take OK. So that's it. There are equally some other things here. These are error messages. So I'm going to put the if error. So if there's an error, nothing should happen. I'm going to put inverted commas open and close, I close bracket, and that's it. So yeah, there are these figures that are appearing when there is no entry, when there is no sales, when there is no exit. So I could still personalize it in such a way that I should not be having these zeros down here. So what I can say here is that before the sum if, I say if the calculation of the sum if um what can I say? I can say that if, for example, um this if for example the item is equal to nothing, like if there's nothing at the level of item, if there's nothing at the level of item, um I don't want anything to happen here, so it should just give me nothing. But meaning the value if true should, in case this item has something, is if the value if true is the value that will appear should, in case this item has something, meaning if it is equal to nothing, nothing should appear. But the value if false should, in case there's actually something inside before it should make this calculation. So I can close this and I take okay. So it's working. Should, in case there's nothing here, nothing happens here. Should, in case there's something, something happens. So I'm just going to do the same thing. So I come at the level of sales and I say if this cell, meaning the item, at the item column, if the item column is equal to nothing, meaning if there's nothing inside, nothing should happen, nothing. And if there's actually something inside, it should calculate the sum and give to us. So I close bracket, enter. I do same for exit. I come if, I give if this item name is equal to nothing, then nothing should happen. And here I'm just going to close the bracket once more, and that's it. So you can see automatically this is the stuff. If I add a new product here that has entered in stock, for example, let's say iPhone 7, and I say 20 units came in my stock cart, automatically when I get to iPhone 7 I can see entry 20 units. If I get to exit and I'm exiting, for example, which product, the iPhone 8, I'm exiting maybe 3 units. When I come to my stock cart, I come to exit, I can see that for this iPhone, 3 units were exited, and you can see the available stock. So same as when sales are being done, if there's any new sale, I'm just going to add a line. If there's any new sale, for example, of a telephone, let's say 20 units, you see automatically the stock card will say there are 22 units in total, because it's going to add all the units. So this is just how simple it is. This is how beautiful it is. Everything is automatic in this worksheet. For the stock card, you don't have to do anything. All you come and do is to find out what entered, what was sold, what was exited, and your available stock. So I could centralize all of this and put it in the middle so that we can see the values in the middle. So from here we now want to put some alert conditions, so that, for example, it should give, for example, a red line should, in case the stock is less than the minimum stock. So we are going to do here conditional formatting. This is going to be done and more elaborated in the next video, but in this video we already saw a lot of beautiful things, how to use the sum if function in order to automate our transaction, same as to how to use the if function, give conditions to make our work to be beautiful. Stay tuned, get to the next video and see how to use conditional formatting to make your stock card more responsive.